reading. Let me go to my restream. Change the title on this other stream real quick. All right, perfect. Let me pull the chat up in here. Get this going nice and good. All right, perfect. So I am going to be doing a little bit of reading today. We're going to be reading Charles Darwin, The Origin of Species. Oh, it's right here. So right now, I'm on chapter 106. Turn the lights off real quick. Get a nice vibe, nice mood. Perfect. Let me grab my chalice. Got a nice Macallan in here. No, I'm just playing. It's Coca-Cola. See. But yeah. An overwhelming amount of experimental evidence showing that they descend from common parents, and consequently must be ranked as varieties. Close investigation, in most cases, will bring naturalists to an agreement how to rank doubtful forms. Yet, it must be confessed that in the best known countries that we find the greatest number of forms of doubtful value. I have been struck with the fact that if any animal or plant in a state of nature be highly useful to man, or from any cause closely attract his attention, varieties of it will almost universally be found recorded. These varieties, moreover, will often ranked by some authors as species. Look at the common oak, how closely it has been studied. Yet, a German author makes more than a dozen species out of forms, which are generally considered as varieties. And in this country, the highest botanical authorities and practical men can be quoted to show that the sessile and pedunciated oaks are either good and distinct species or just mere varieties. When a young naturalist commences the study of a group of organisms quite unknown to him, he is at first much perplexed to determine what differences to consider as specific and what as varieties, for he knows nothing of the amount and kind of variation to which the group is subject. And this shows, at least, how very generally there is some variation. I could have lost my place. But if he confine his attention to one class within one country, he will soon make up his mind on how to rank most of the doubtful forms. His general tendency will be to make many species, for he will become impressed, just like the pigeon or the poultry fancier before alluded to, with the amount of difference in the forms which he is continually studying, and he has little general knowledge of analogical variation in other groups and in other countries, by which to correct his first impressions. As he extends the range of his observations, he will meet with more cases of difficulty, for he will encounter a great number of closely allied forms. But if his observations be widely extended, he will, in the end, generally be enabled to make up his own mind which to call varieties and which species. But he will succeed in this at the expense of omitting how much variation. And the truth of this admission will often be disputed by other naturalists. When, moreover, he comes to study allied forms brought from countries not now continuous, in which case he can hardly hope to find the intermediate links between his doubtful forms, he will have to trust almost entirely to analog, and his difficulties will rise to a climax. Certainly, no clear line of demarcation has yet been drawn between species and subspecies. That is, the forms which, in the opinion of some naturalists, come very near to, but do not quite arrive at the rank of species, or again, between subspecies and well marked varieties, or between lesser varieties and individual species. These differences blend into each other in an insensible series, and a series impresses the mind with the idea of an actual passage. Hence, I look at individual differences, though, of small interest to the systematis, as of high importance to us, as being the first step towards slight varieties, as are barely thought worth recording in the works on natural history. And I look at varieties, which are in any degree more distinct and permanent, as steps leading to more strongly marked and more permanent varieties, and at these latter, as leading to subspecies and to species. The passage from one stage of difference to another and higher stage may be, in some cases, due merely to the long continued action of different physical conditions in two different regions. But I have not much faith in this view, and I attribute a passage of a variety from a state in which it differs very slightly from its parent to one in which it differs more, to the action of natural selection accumulating, as will hereafter be more fully explained, differences of structure in certain definite directions. Hence, I believe a well marked variety may be justly called an incipient species. But whether this belief be justifiable must be judged by the general weight of the several facts and views given throughout this work. It need not be supposed that all varieties or incipient species necessarily attain the rank of species. They may, whilst in these incipient state, become extinct, or they may endure as varieties for very long periods, as have been shown by the case of Dr. Wollaston with the varieties of certain fossil land shells in Madeira. If a variety were to flourish so as to exceed in numbers, oh no, my book is torn. Oh no. The parent species. It would then rank as the species, and the species as the variety. Or they might come to supplant and exterminate. Did I really just read that as exterminate? Exterminate. Oh crap, I lost my place. Where are we? The parent species, or both might coexist, and both rank as independent species. But we shall hereafter have to return from the subject. From these remarks, it will be seen that I look at the term species. One is arbitrarily given for the sake of convenience to a set of individuals closely resembling each other, and that it does not essentially differ from the term variety, which is given to less distant and more fluctuating forms. The term variety, again, in comparison with mere individual differences, is also applied arbitrarily for mere convenience sake. Guided by theoretical considerations, I thought that some interesting results may be obtained in regard to the nature and relations of the species which vary most, by tabulating all the varieties in several well worked floras. At first, this seemed a simple task, but Mr. H.C. Watson, to whom I am very much indebted for valuable advice and assistance on the subject, soon convinced me that there were many difficulties, as did subsequently Dr. Hooker. Even in stronger terms, I shall reserve for my future work the discussion of these difficulties. And the tables themselves are proportional numbers of the varying species. Dr. Hooker permits me to add that after having carefully read my manuscript and examined the tables, he thinks that the following statements are fairly well established. The whole subject, however, treated as it necessarily here is much with much brevity, is rather perplexing, and allusions cannot be avoided to the struggle for existence, divergence of character, and other questions hereafter to be discussed. Alf de Canal and others have shown that plants which have very wide ranges, generally present varieties, and this might have been expected, as they become exposed to diverse physical conditions, and as they come into competition with different sets of organic beings. But my tables further show that in any limited country, the species which are most common, that is, abound most in individuals, and the species which they are most widely diffused within their own country. A different consideration from wide range, and to a certain extent from commonness, often give rise to varieties sufficiently well marked to have recorded in botanical works. Hence, it is the most flourishing, or as they may be called, the dominant species, those which range widely over the world, are the most diffused in their own country, and are the most numerous individuals, which oftenest produce well marked varieties. By the way, it says oftenest in the book. That's apparently proper English. Or, as I consider them, incipient species. And this, perhaps, might have been anticipated, for, as varieties, in order to become in any degree permanent, necessarily have to struggle with the other inhabitants of the country. The species which are already dominant will most likely to yield offspring which, though in some slight degree modified, will still inherit those advantages that enabled their parents to become dominant over their counterparts. If the plants inhabiting a country and described in any flora be divided into two equal masses, all those in the larger genera being placed on one side, and all those in the smaller genera on the other side, a somewhat larger number of the very common and much diffused or dominant species will be found on the side of the larger genera. This, again, might have been anticipated, for the mere fact that many species of the same genus inhabiting any country shows that there is something in the organic or inorganic conditions of a country favorable to the genus, and consequently, we might have expected to have found in that larger genera, or those including many species, a large proportional number of dominant species. But so many causes tend to obscure this result that I'm surprised that my tables even show a small majority on the side of the larger genera. I will here allude to only two causes of obscurity. Freshwater and salt loving plants have generally very wide ranges and are much diffused. But this seems to be connected with the nature of the stations inhabited by them, and has little to no relation to the size of genera to which the species belong. Again, plants low in the scale of organization are generally much more widely diffused than plants higher in the scale. And here again, there is no close relation to the size of the genera. The cause of the lowly organized plants ranging widely will be discussed in our chapter on geographical distribution. I'm not paying for views. Fuck off. All right, guys, I'm gonna finish up chapter 2 tonight, and then we'll read chapter 3 tomorrow. This book is excellent so far. I very much enjoy it. From looking at species has only strongly marked and well defined varieties, I was led to anticipate that the species of the larger genera in each country would offer present varieties. You know what? Let's take a little bit of a break from reading. I'm going to call my good friend up right now. You know why? Because I'm going to use my friend's reviews, because that's what people do on the internet. Call Eric.
What's up?
Yo, you're on the live. Say what's up to the good people of the live.
What's up?
Shit, what's up though? What you up to? Shit. Fucking no one. That's why I'm on the phone right now to create content. Yeah. So I gotta get off TikTok though. You're talking about my my reposts?
Yeah.
I don't want to speak in my reposts. They're hey. We do not talk about my reposts. Those are not conscious decisions to repost. Those are hackers reposting whatever's on my account. Like I don't repost, you know.
Dude, all I know is I talk to a lot of people, and what you repost actually does matter quite significantly. People will unfollow you depending on your repost, or continue following you, or even recommend you depending on your reposts. Actually.
At what basis do you have this information?
Word of mouth through successful TikTok creators. And you can imagine who I'm talking about.
Frame versus dick.
Nigga, how many people do I know, and how many people do I know that we both know that I could be referring to that are extremely famous on TikTok?
I don't know, but frame equals dick. That's all I gotta say.
Fucking Clav and everyone did.
Yeah, but frame versus dick, who wins? That's the real questions here.
Best to have it good in both worlds, dude. You know?
Yeah. But speaking of clavicular, I heard that he's training with Todd Duffy.
He's gonna be doing Atlas in Miami.
Oh, okay. He's doing a lot of work there.
Where?
He's putting in a lot of work at the gym over there.
They haven't started.
Oh shoot, really?
No, they haven't been able to do much of anything there.
Is he gonna do a dude? Imagine he does a fight. Like I would pay money to see.
Boxing.
I would pay money. Oh, Clavicular's gonna do boxing?
Dude, you should ask him these stuff. I'm not him. Also, this is just like what I heard. So nothing is guaranteed.
Oh wow, that's awesome though. Good for him. Have you ever expressed any desire into getting into combat sports such as boxing or MMA?
The bag is big enough, right?
If the bag is big enough, you want to do it for the love of the game to go to Valhalla?
No.
You don't want to go to Valhalla when you die?
I don't think selling my soul and fighting some random guy on some random strange stage has nothing to do with Valhalla. That will not lead to Valhalla. I don't think you understand what you're even saying.
So should I join the Marines then, is what you're saying?
To go to Valhalla, you have to be fighting a true enemy and die in the field of combat. Like, are you gonna act like the UFC fighters really hate each other? But all their fights, they always hate the other opponent. Like, let's be for real right now.
I can think of plenty of times when a UFC fighter has hated another UFC fighter.
All their fights, you think they hated all their opponents, every single one they've ever had?
Some have, but I wouldn't doubt that some person has.
No, it's like every sparring, everything they hated every single one leading up to UFC, every UFC.
So you think that every time? So you think that every time a Viking fought, they had genuine hatred for someone?
No, they.
So what's your logic here?
To go to Valhalla, you were fighting for a greater purpose. You weren't fighting for the paycheck. You were fighting for the honor to die for a greater cause. If they die, they're not gonna die in the UFC. They're gonna become paralyzed. But if they die via UFC somehow,
Will they go to Valhalla?
what greater good are they fighting for? Are they giving up their full paycheck to send it to build houses in the slums? Are they pocketing most of it? Like, how are they helping the greater good?
Well,
Are they really
a lot of fighters
No.
do make major contributions to charities and other organizations that benefit people.
They said most of their pay. The Vikings, they were fighting to save their whole village. They were fighting
So
to
UFC
save a
fighters
culture.
don't fight to save their village.
Can you compare someone fighting to save their culture to someone fighting to put food on the table? Like they can go get a job. It's not like they really need to be in the UFC.
It's not like Vikings really needed to pillage villages. They could have just, got the resources themselves, mined it and stuff. They didn't have to go out and get it by fighting.
Not really.
Same thing with like Charles Oliveira.
At the time, it's like a lot where they were living there. What farms are you gonna do in the middle of winter when there's nothing for half the year up in the north where you see, you know what I mean? It's like there is no, you gotta go out, take and come back home and feed people that can't grow can't, you know what I mean? It's like you're feeding many mouths, not just your own families. The Vikings were doing. It's like that for the whole village, The village is freezing. There's no more food left. They gotta go get food for the whole town, dude. You can't even compare that to some UFC fighting.
Basically what you're talking about is Dagestan.
Who just fights and then
so basically you're just talking about Dagestan.
No, what do you say, dude? Literally all of Norway, Sweden.
Bro, it literally sounds exactly like the Dagestani wrestling path or the Dagestani MMA path. They got to feed the whole village, so they're going to fight. That's literally so. By that basis, wouldn't Dagestanis be led into Valhalla? Because that's utilizing the same logic that you provided, which is the base framework for your argument.
It's different times, though. You gotta remember.
But it's the same exact thing.
They don't have to end up fighting. No.
So what is your criteria then?
Look at what I said. I said if they stayed in their village, think about it. What would happen? Everyone dies. In Dagestan, there's modern day. You have technology, nigga. Like you act like they don't have cell phones and cars. They can't go trade. They can't use their brains, nigga. What are you saying?
So Vikings didn't do that. So Vikings didn't use their brains in trade because it's been historically documented that they did. So what's your point here?
Nigga, you saw when they were trading, right? It was what time was it? Think about it.
Well,
was it before or after the raids?
Both.
Just answer me that question, and the argument stops right here. Do you even know that information?
They did.
When were they doing the trades? Before or after?
Both.
A majority after the raids is when the trading was done to get the best deals. So technically speaking, you clearly did not read any books, nigga. Like I don't know what you're gonna say.
So by that logic, wouldn't that mean that after UFC fights, UFC fighters go back to the village and they splurge, spend a bunch of money on it? That's not at all what happens after UFC fights. Like fighters like.
Good luck with your like.
No, Eric. I'm just trying to like understand your logic about this. Nigga,
there's no need to fight in modern days. You can use your brain. Back then, your brain couldn't do as much for you because it's like.
Dude, you're saying this like there's not people out here with room temperature IQs. Like some people literally can't do anything but fight.
We live in modern days where anyone can go stand at McDonald's and get a paycheck, dude, regardless of their brain. They can go to Publix and scan a grocery. And in Dagestan, there are grocery stands. There are these small businesses that can resell, make clothes. You know what I mean? The list goes on and on. There is no need in a modern day to be learning combat, also considering that there's guns and stuff. So combat's like, you know what I mean?
Eric,
safety,
a wise man
taking a firearms course. I literally have to go, so I'm gonna have to hang up.
Just remember this: a wise man once said, "If one man can hold you down, two men can fuck you." Justin Gaethje.
Well, no one's gonna hold you down if you got a Glock and you shoot them all. So I'll leave you with that thought, dude. All right, peace.
Glock Jutsu. I fuck with it. Take it easy. Rage bait. Easy rage bait. Ah, I need more Bev. I hope there's not a boiled water notice in my room. Because the thing is I'm in a college dorm room right now, and like every 2 weeks there's like a boiled water notice. So I'm unsure as to whether or not that there's a boiled water notice currently. Damn, I dead ass got no emotion right now. Uh, I love calling my friends at random times at night. It's the best. Yo, you better knock right now? Shit. All right. My bad. We're at peace.
Please leave your
Yes, I get to pester my friends. Yo, you want to hop on stream? Could I pull up? Yeah, of course. Of course. Of course. No worries. All right, word. I'll see you soon. Peace. Yeah, all right, guys. So it's gonna be a short stream tonight. There's not really much going on, so hopefully on the next stream I can get some people over, so it's a lot more entertaining. As of now, it's a little hard to do it alone. So peace.